Ooh. Como vai, queridos, queridas, gente fina? Hoje temos minha amiga Francesca. Estamos falando sobre seus 13 anos no Tóquio, Japão. Take it away, Francesca.
Konnichiwa, Mini-san. Watashi wa Francesca Tomoshimasu. Kyou wa 13 年間 Subarashi no Seikatsu ni tsuite o hanashi shimasu. Dozo yoroshiku onegai shimasu. So basically what I said super duper fast, because your girl hasn't used Japanese in a while, was, hello everyone, today I'm going to talk to you about my wonderful 13 years of living in Japan. And dozo yoroshiku is kind of like, it's a very special thing that doesn't really translate from Japanese to English, but it means thank you for your consideration, thank you for your kindness. It's a way of saying, of building that rapport for business and for that relationship.
Renee Adolphi said that sounds beautiful. Were you talking about
Thank you. I appreciate you. You don't even know how much I was struggling. First of all, if I could get some extra points, I did write that in Japanese. These were my notes.
Ooh.
Notice how big I wrote it so that I wouldn't have to be staring like this. So I appreciate the compliment.
So let's do this. What language did you write that in?
That's in Japanese. Japanese is actually 3 writing systems. And so that's all of them. I could show you, but I'm like, I wasn't planning on using this as a lesson plan.
Let's show them. Give it to them. Tell them about the 3 writing systems.
So I don't know how well you can see them.
Just fine. Perfect.
This one up here is called, okay, so let me explain it to you first. Actually, that's probably better. So Japanese actually comes from Chinese. And the difference is Chinese is purely kanji. And kanji is like those graphics, those images, looks like hieroglyphics. When Japanese used Chinese as a base, they actually created a syllabary, kind of like an alphabet to go with it. So they have the kanji, which is the pure symbols. There's no sound. Either you know it or you don't. It's literally like hieroglyphics. That's the best way to compare it to. Then they have something called hiragana, which is an alphabet that they use for words that are native to Japan. And then they have a third system called katakana. And it's the same thing as hiragana, but it's written in a different script. And that lets people know that's a foreign word. So for example, I don't know, you guys might be seeing this a little bit backwards. This, or even for me, this up here is hiragana, because that means that's their own language. This symbol right here is kanji because there's no sound. You can't pronounce that. And I don't know if I have any katakana. Sorry, I didn't write any katakana because that would have been my name. And since I know my name, I chose not to write it out in my script. So 3 writing systems. And a very interesting language because they also have it's very important about politeness. So there's a different way that I would speak to someone older than me, than my boss, a different way that I would speak to my coworker, a different way that I would speak to a student or someone younger than me. So I never mastered all the different levels, but I can communicate to get water in the restaurant, to find my way to the train station, and to ask for help. Maybe a little bit more, but yes, Japanese is a lifelong language.
There's probably a little bit more.
Okay, just a toot more, but it's been a minute, so I'm not trying to toot any horns right now. It's been a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
13 years in, now 13. I lived in Tokyo for about 2 years.
Oh, fantastic. Okay? Where in Tokyo?
Shinkoiwa. Well, no. Yeah, Shinkoiwa. Shinkoiwa, do you know Shinkoiwa train station?
No, I don't.
Okay, Shinkoiwa is on the yellow line. And
what was the biggest major? Okay, are you familiar with? Do you remember Yamanote?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the closest station to you on the Yamanote line?
Ooh, you're asking.
Is that hard to remember?
Because here's the thing: I didn't live there, so I didn't really have a reason to. You know, we got a couple quick questions for you, though. Look at that.
Oh, thank you so much, my love. Okay, so actually, Japanese, like anything else, is how committed you are to it, how much you're vested in it. So as he said, I lived there for 13 years. When I first got there the first year, I wasn't even trying. I was like, you could get a konnichiwa out of me. You could get an atsukare-sama desu, which is very common after people finish working. What started to change my mind was meeting foreigners from different countries speaking Japanese very well. So keep in mind, I was there teaching English, and it made me realize we all have to learn something at some point. It's a process. So it is 100% challenging, but when you have the motivation and you're immersed, it's possible. I would say my relationship with Japanese is very off and on because I get paid to speak English. I was getting paid to speak English. That's what I did. My friend spoke English very well. Japanese, of course, is necessary when I'm not working because I'm riding the train station, I'm going to the grocery store, I'm doing my day-to-day living. So I would definitely say I had conversational Japanese, but I knew a lot of people who were not born in Japan. That was not their first language, and they were fluent. So I would say for the language, it depends on your motivation, your access to resources, your opportunities to hear the language and use the language. That first year, I didn't even try. I was like, it's too hard. But then I realized the babies had to learn. They didn't come out the womb doing it, so I had to take my time too.
I can relate to the lazy factor because when I came to Brazil, my first 2 years, because of my career, I made money working with business people who all speak English, and I do a lot of things online.
Right.
And when I made the decision to stay here, I was busy doing paperwork and things. And when quarantine and lockdown came, I rededicated myself to learning Japanese. Japanese.
That's okay. Come on over. It's okay.
Oh, by the way, everybody watching, like, share, and subscribe. If you're first new to the channel, we talk about 3 things a lot. We talk about money a lot, which is my favorite subject. Money is an amazing slave to have. We talk about social issues a lot, and you can back page through this and look at those. We also talk quite a bit about world travel, my life in the places that I've been, my friends from all over the world, and this is what I like to bring to you guys. So make sure everybody like, share, and subscribe. I use the Pimsleur method, which, for those of you who don't know, and I'll show everybody, I did an article called Hustling Portuguese Backwards. Pimsleur is a method. There is no reading. There is no writing. They're 30-minute lessons. They say you can learn it in 30 minutes a day. That's a lie. What you have to do is you take 30 minutes and then you do each lesson twice. It's all speaking, and you have to speak out loud all the time. I can tell you, if you use it, it definitely works. It's an amazing system. And I'll show everybody. I'm going to put the link to it right here. But it's one of the, well, first, how did you go about learning Japanese?
Really, it's kind of what you're speaking about, because the Pimsleur level or learning system is basically taking you the way a child is. A child does not read. They do not read to speak English. They don't read to speak Chinese. They don't read to speak French. They listen, they hear, and they understand when to respond in an appropriate way. So that's basically what that's doing. And that's, I feel, inadvertently what happened. You're there so long, after a while, you start to understand when you hear this question, this is a common response. You start to understand those things. Then from there, you go to, I want to ask my friend this, or I want to be able to communicate this. So then you ask them, and how do I say this? For me, and this is something we'll get into a little bit later, my African heritage and culture is very important to me. So even while I was in Japan for 13 years, I always was a bridge between the African communities and the Japanese communities. That motivated me to learn, because I was giving presentations and I wanted to learn to speak in the language of the people that I'm raising awareness to, or that I'm raising funds from. So if I'm going in a Japanese community to say I want to raise awareness and funds, then I feel more comfortable speaking to them in their language, or at least making the effort. A lot of times it's really about the effort, because my passion comes in speaking English because that's my language and I can focus. When I'm giving presentations in Japanese, it's stressful. I'm thinking about pronunciation. I'm thinking about, did I use the right word in the right way? So I always do it as an introductory part to my presentation to let them know I'm putting in the effort. But then I usually go back to English and have someone translate into Japanese for me.
You're right, though. In every country I've lived in, it's all about the effort. The fact that you're showing people, hey, I respect you enough, you understand, to begin learning how to communicate the way you do, help me along. Most Americans, but, well, I take that back. Black Americans have an amazing reputation overseas. A lot of people don't know that. And one of the things that Red Pill Neil said, he said, Japanese love Black people. It's hard to go someplace where as a Black American, people don't love you, because we tend not to come over with the entitled attitude.
I'm going to share my experience, which is a little bit different.
Well, I'll say tend not to. There's always going to be the oddball, you know.
Well, this is what I found, and that there could be truth to that. So actually, I'm not even going against your opinion, I'm just going to elaborate a little bit more. I actually found in my experience, so there's always going to be a mystique and a fascination about African American and culture, from hip hop to clothes, swag, this and that. So it's a fascination from the outside looking in, which is not the same thing as respect. Yeah, you're like, oh, you're interesting, you're fascinating. Ooh, ah. When I notice for most African Americans, the first default is, oh, are you in the military? Most are there from the military. So it's a whole different interaction in reality. Most of the people that I dealt with were not. I'm probably in 13 years, I've been on like a military base in Japan, maybe 3, 4, I'll say 5 times absolute tops. That's not where I was hanging out. I was hanging out with other foreign, so it could be African Brits, people in the diaspora from Canada, from the islands. That's a different dynamic because they actually engage in the culture in a meaningful way. For me, definitely the African community, because they're already multilingual. Most Africans can speak at least 2 languages. For them to pick up a third is not difficult. And they absolutely understand the value of it. For us, we're like, oh, we never learned anything other than English. We studied in school to take a test, but not to communicate. It is a serious, stressful factor. People don't want to do it. They never really get proficient in it. But when it came to people from other nationalities where it was a requirement for them to move forward in their life, Americans can kind of get by on, I'll teach English and I'll just speak English. But even a native speaking African still speaks other languages and still does other things. So I notice there's a different trajectory that goes on. It's very easy when it comes to looking at successful business owners, usually African. But as I say that, there's an African American man who owns his own anime studio in Tokyo. And interestingly enough, I literally saw him on that new video. I think it's Pharrell and Jay-Z, called Entrepreneur. I don't know if you've seen it yet, if your followers have seen it. And it's highlighting amazing African American entrepreneurs doing things that we don't highlight and talk about enough. And so I was super excited to be like, oh, look at Japan being represented. And he is actually African American doing the thing. So it is done. I'm just saying, in my experience, I can only speak for me, it wasn't as prevalent or as great in terms of the interaction with African Americans outside of the excitement of, oh, hip hop culture. Who doesn't love that? People Sweat is here for that. So that wasn't super shocking. Oh, and greetings to you. And thank you for the lovely greetings. I appreciate you. This is awesome. I love your family. I love your network.
Yeah, we have a good time here. Well,
most definitely.
I agree with what you said. The thing is, that fascination still allows us to go into places. I've traveled the world enough to have gone places where they say, don't go there if you're American. You're going to get killed. They'll just murder you in the face. Then you get there and you realize, no, wait, we love Black people. You guys do all the fun stuff. And you're seen as just as much a victim of American imperialism as anybody else. So when someone says, we hate America,
so they're not taking advantage of that.
We don't look like the guy who bombed their country. We don't look like the people who did all that. It's just an awkward reality. And I tell people that all the time.
No, it's not awkward. It's an opportunity. You're a stranger in a strange land. Take advantage of that. Don't make it awkward. If somebody's fascinated by you and that gives you an opportunity to learn, buy property, create a business, do something, that's our problem. We literally went someplace where we're loved. We're not loved in our own country. We get shot in the street. If you go someplace and people are like, ooh, let's not hit the awkward. Let's hit that's how it should be. Thank you. And then let's see, how can we parlay that into a business opportunity? Can we invite more people over? So, we definitely don't want to bring the whole awkward into the conversation because we got enough of that. We're not even entertaining awkward, strange, weird. Let's give the labels a break. And I feel especially when you travel internationally, it's even more irrelevant.
Well, it's kind of like in the movie I Am Not Your Negro, one of the things that we end up hearing in the beginning. Have you seen the documentary, by the way?
I have not. I know exactly what you're talking about. I have not seen it.
Okay. It is probably one of the best. I don't even know how to even. Is it a documentary?
Okay.
Of what it's like, not just for James Baldwin being Black, but one of the things he struggled with is at the beginning of I Am Not Your Negro, he was a writer as a Black American living in Paris. And one of the things he struggled with is just to be treated like a regular human being, not a special guy. He had to leave America. And when you leave America, one of the things that a lot of people talk to me about is they always feel like there's something I'm not telling them that makes it easier living overseas. And I say, what you don't understand is that when you don't worry about being shot by a policeman or just a regular white American or any American going to the store one night, you're more productive. You don't have as many worry lines. That could be true of Japan. That could be true of Brazil. A lot of people don't really get that. And when they do, they're faced with this awkwardness. And they're like, but people say to me all the time, you're a coward for leaving and you should be here fight. Listen, cowards live longer. I'm not in this life to be
I got to stop you. A coward for what? So like I said, let's go ahead and change the narrative. Let's not keep repeating the misinformation. Number one, a good point for people to remember, America is young. America is literally hundreds of years old in comparison to Japan, where we're talking thousands. So let's understand, this is the way I always look at America. America is the equivalent of a toddler. And the rest of the world, they're in different degrees of development, but we're looking at adults, we're looking at elders. America was not built on the premise of we're all equal. We already understand that. That has still been ingrained into this culture. We understand that. The problem is, because this is all we know, we buy our own hype. We're so awesome. Everybody loves us. We must be the best. We don't take the time to understand that this community, this planet is huge. There's so much to be seen, that there's so much more in common. Yeah, you don't know the language. And of course that could be uncomfortable and make you feel awkward. So what? You understand the language here and your life is in danger. So let's go ahead and start to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. But we have to change the whole dynamic. Don't even entertain those questions and those things, because that's coming from their mindset. If you've already elevated and it's a different thing. People look at me differently. Yes, of course, some people, they're going to be super questionable because they're like, I've never seen a Black person. Maybe some people will be racist, but as I tell people, then you could be racist in Japan and know I'm not getting shot in the streets.
Right.
I know I'm so your racism doesn't prevent me from living my best life, and I'm okay with that. So that's my attitude. But I feel it's important when we have these conversations as expats, as people who've traveled internationally, let's go ahead and elevate behind what people commonly think, the misconceptions, because that's why they keep regurgitating it. Let's start introducing something new. Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, you have to have a sense of self. No, there's never the perfect time, but you will get stronger in self, or you will come home. And that's okay too. So what we're just saying is challenge yourself. My whole attitude with everything I've ever done is do it. If I feel concerned about my safety or my well-being or anything, I can always go back home. If I never go, I will never know. And that's really a personality trait more so than a fear thing or an adventure thing. Some of us are built like that. Not everyone's built like that, and we have to respect that as well. So everybody's a different place in their journey. We're not here to tell people what to do, how to do it. How come you're not this? People who judge you, that's coming from their mindset. That's absolutely fine. No one doing as well as you and no one doing better than you will ever question anything you do. So anyone who ever says anything about me, that's on you. You're literally looking at me from behind. You're looking at me while I'm making my achievements going forward. You're criticizing. Guess what? I'm not even turning back to hear you. Irrelevant. You go work your personal issues out and good luck with that. That's my attitude.
Yep. That's exactly correct. That's exactly correct. You're making your decisions on stuff I've already done.
So it's irrelevant. So I don't entertain it. I don't even, what I don't do? I don't speak on things that don't serve me or my energy or anybody else. If you did wrong, if you went in the corner, took a shit and sat in it, I'm not going to broadcast what you did. That's on you. If you decide to get up and wash it off, that's on you. If you decide to sit on it, it's not on you. What I'm not going to do is retell that story and bring that energy back into the audience.
Well said. Don't even give them the audience. What took you to Japan? Because for me, I went through a good chunk of my life where I would just literally pick a place and move there. Before I was living in Japan, I was living in Sydney, Australia. The opportunity to go to Japan popped up, and I was like, that looks fun. And there was a company. I don't know if you know of the company. Do you remember the company called Nova?
Nova? Yeah, I saw that with the little Usagi with the bunny. Yeah, that's actually my first start in Japan was with Nova, which is an English company that.
Now, here's the thing. Nova, let me tell you something. Nova made a lot of money. And there was a boom period where if you were a native English speaker and agreed to move, hey, from our friends over at Love Crossing Borders, I want everybody to go to their channel.
Love
And
crossing borders.
Renee is just soaking it all up, soaking it all up, soaking it all up.
Thank you, Renee. You're so wonderful. Thank you, my love. I appreciate you.
You see that bunny that she's holding in this picture? That was the company logo.
Right.
Okay. And apparently the company was doing some crooked things that it might have been backed with some illegal money, but people would buy tickets to learn English. And the thing that made this company so great is they paid very, very well, on time, all the time, took care of all your needs. You know, it was one of the best experiences I had in Japan, and they facilitated me being able to move there and just have this great, great life there. That company has since, I believe that the boom is gone and that the company has since gone either by the wayside or
basically what happened was, and they were a great company because that's how I got there. In my opinion, they were going too fast. And because they were doing it, they started overextending themselves. They were making promises that they were not delivering. I forget what ended up happening, but it was like some illegal stuff with students and money, and they ended up going out of business. I want to say there might be a handful, but just to give everyone perspective, NOLA would be the equivalent of McDonald's or 7-Eleven, like every other corner. Like this is a school that taught English, but you might have like two at opposing ends of the same corner. It was that popular, it was that common. But, you know, they got ahead of themselves, ended up going out of business, but it was definitely a great entry point for anyone who was interested in living and working in Japan, was to teach them.
So how did you become?
Oh, thank you. Okay. Yes, talk to me.
Tell us that saying and how you became the woman in that picture.
Okay, first of all, I feel all emotional because I didn't even know you were going to bring that up. So thank you. Wow, where to even start with that? Okay, so let me start first of all with the picture. I love Japan. I love Japanese culture. And while I was there living my best life, I started understanding I can actually bring the things that are important to me together and create something new. And that is also Africa. So that got me to, there's about, I want to say in Tokyo, there's about 33 African embassies actually located in Tokyo. You know, there's like 54 countries, so that's a pretty significant number. So meaning there were a lot of events, opportunities to do different things. United Nations, I'm not sure if people are aware, United Nations actually has a series of universities, I want to say in 3 different continents. The headquarters of United Nations University is also in Tokyo. So that gave me another opportunity to interact with African diplomats and to go to different events and really meet a lot of interesting, amazing people. So while I was there, I created a group called Africa and Japan, and that allowed me to highlight not only the wonderful events and opportunities to experience African culture in Japan, but just to celebrate African wins in the diaspora and the motherland. Now, where this saying came, which is something I really like, it's fall 7 times, stand up 8. And the premise behind that is always get back up. It doesn't matter how many times you fell or were knocked down. It doesn't matter how long you stayed down, as long as you get back up. And so that's always been something. There's so many different aspects of Japanese culture, of Zen, of Buddhism, of the aesthetic, of tea ceremony that always resonated with me in a very profound way. And just that simple concept. And it's not necessarily unique. A lot of different cultures, you know, have similar ideas, parables to inspire people. But that was just always something that always moved me. And a very dear friend actually created that picture for me. So that whole background he actually created, and the coloring and the lighting of it, just to celebrate what I'm doing to be a bridge between the African communities in Japan and with the Japanese community.
And that was that a kimono?
That was a kimono, yes.
When I moved there, I started to really understand the differences and subtleties and the patterns and the way they were tied and how they all meant different things. And I remember 2 distinct situations where I came in contact with kimono. One, there was a young woman I knew who was graduating from university, very prestigious university. And her mom and her grandmother were all set to pick out this really expensive kimono for her to wear. However, she wanted to wear an outfit that Missy Elliott wore in one of her videos. and it literally
She
called
already knew better. She already knew. She might have been saying that to you. She already knew that was not going to be an option.
Oh, no. I saw it play out. Let me tell you something. She went to war.
Okay. Well, good for her.
And what I found is, Japan is unique in that they're an island nation and they isolated themselves for a huge chunk of their existence.
Right.
Some people say that was good. Some people say the worst thing they ever did was open their borders when white ships came.
They didn't open it, they were forced to. So let's be clear. You know what? That's the equivalent of saying Africans came to the States.
Yeah.
We did not immigrate here. So they did not open their borders. They were forced to open. Let's use all of our borders and not be a proponent of this history telling. But continue.
There are Japanese people who to this day they say they regret that they should have just fought it out. But what's interesting is now they're dealing with multiculturalism in a way that they never have before, because the Japanese are a homogenous people. One of the ways that was explained to me is one of my Japanese friends said, in the United States, let's say you're looking for a friend of yours at the mall, and you ask the local security guard, have you seen my friend? You'll say he's this tall, maybe he's got a mustache, bald head, big guy, probably wearing a colorful t-shirt. That's not how they would describe someone in Japanese. He said in Japan, they'll use different markers because they're all about the same height. They go down to descriptions of how wide apart his eyes are, things that we don't think about because we have such a huge diversity in body types. And
well, keep in mind, we do the same thing. We do skin tone. They don't do that. Everybody has the same color. Everybody has something that's going to differentiate them. I'm sure people in, the Nordic countries, they're super tall, blonde, blue eyes. So I'm sure they have their own special way. Oh, he walks with a limp. She whistles when she talks. I don't know. That's, to me, everybody has a unique way to differentiate. Think about the reality of all of us are similar to someone in some way. So when I hear things like that, that really doesn't fade me. It sounds amazing from the outside looking in. And then what do we do in our community? Oh, I don't even want to get into when we go into the skin tones, because I almost started going there and I'm like I said, I don't like to support, ignorant stereotypes and silly things or whatever. But I'm like, that's not unique. That's just, it's a part of their own reality. And that's what we need to understand. Because what we keep thinking is the way we do things is the standard or the basis. It is not. Even when we go from state to state, we don't even say the same words, right? Is it a pop or is it a soda? I don't know. Where are you from? Is it sneakers? Is it tennis shoes? I don't know. Where are you from? So I think that's why we have so many issues, because we always want to get caught up on how we do something different. Just communicate, explain, express. Be able to connect with someone. Don't worry about how you said it. Don't worry about your twang. Don't worry about your talk slow. Don't worry about your, that, oh my goodness. That's why we got half the problems we got now, because everybody's so fixated on what's different instead of finding ways to create bridges of what is similar, what do we have in common, how can we build moving forward. That's honestly is the bottom line.
Look at that comment.
Yes, let me see. Hey, Francesca, what Japanese food do you? Oh, what a great, gyoza, look at you. It's like their version. Okay, first of all, Red Pill Neil, I'm here for you. So it's so interesting you should say that. The very first place I lived in when I went to Japan is called Utsunomiya. So if Tokyo's here, Utsunomiya is probably about 3 hours north, and it's absolutely famous for gyoza. And I'm so impressed that you know it and you spelled it correctly. So yes, I have to say gyoza is close to my heart. Some other dishes that I like, something called okonomiyaki. It's basically, the way they describe it is like a savory pancake, because that's what it looks like. It looks like a pancake, but you eat it like for dinner, and you can have vegetables and different meats in it. Love that. Something else, because I'm not a really great cook and I'm not super interested in cooking, but something that was easy for me to make and I liked is called nabe. And nabe actually in Japanese means pot. And so basically what they're saying is it is a one pot dish. So you got a soup base. It could be spicy, like a Korean kimchi flavor, or it could be soy based. And then add whatever vegetables, meats, tofu, things like that you like. But yeah, sorry, you got me excited. I absolutely love Japanese food. It is so healthy. It is so delicious, and so much more beyond noodles and just sushi. I'm trying to think of some more things you might not have known. They have something called yakiniku, which I believe actually comes from Korea, and it's basically like a barbecue beef. That's super yums. And then I've definitely tried some interesting things. I've had, please don't judge me. I've had whale, I've had shark, I've had horse, not proud of it, but I was with my students.
Whoa, why would that? Whoa, why would that be the one that you're not proud of? The horse?
Okay, we ride horse season. Come on, it's a horse. Like, come on, I don't know. Like, okay, of course, their whole concept of seafood is much greater than ours. When we say seafood, we mean this much. When they say seafood, we mean everything that's in the ocean that is underwater. So there's really nothing there that's going to really throw me off. But when it comes to a land animal, I'm like, that's a horse. But in case anybody's wondering, sashimi, which is when you just have the meat raw, and sushi is when you have it with rice. So I have actually had it sashimi style, and it kind of tasted like a salami or a pepperoni. So I don't know if you ever need to know that or have that information, but you're welcome. From me to you.
Well, let me ask you.
Of course.
Traveling the world, one of the things that I run into a lot, everyone believes that what they eat is normal, but what the other people eat isn't. And that's a problem for me. Because one of the things you learn, and I've seen people have nervous breakdowns about this when they start their traveling career. I've seen people BK said people get sensitive about
That's funny. He said, Mr. A. Okay, don't do that. Don't do me like that. Now you made me feel even worse.
So let's do this. While everybody is going to your Instagram page, one of the things that I've learned is I've had people have nervous breakdowns when they realize,
thank you.
When people realize, holy crap, what I do is only normal where I live. And there are other people who believe totally different things and they're successful. So I've seen people have nervous breakdowns about that.
Let's go ahead and stop there. Like I said, let's stop draining that. Let's stop dragging that dead horse. Damn. Didn't even mean to bring it out like that. You absolutely understand why. If you are only around a certain amount of information, if you're not exposed to anything different, we are naturally resistant to change. On the most simple basis, people could go to their same restaurant every time and not even order anything different and new. You understand? It is human nature. So there's no need to make it a big, profound, like, oh God, they're stuck. That is the way they are. That means they haven't had a lot of opportunities. That usually starts as a child. When you're exposed to things, you're more flexible, you're more open, you're more curious, right? So no, what we're not going to do is get in our feelings about people who are in their feelings about food. What that means is let's be sympathetic. Oh, you've never really had a chance to try something new. When you go to your favorite Mexican restaurant, do you get the same soup and the same thing every day? Okay, so it's no wonder they're going to be overwhelmed when they go to another culture. Food is very psychological. 100% is psychological. There are things that we eat that I'm sure in some cultures they'll be like, oh, you guys eat chitlins. Like somebody else is going to be repulsed on the planet. I don't know where. They might do it and they might do it in a different name. So I'm very sensitive about people food shaming. That's just about experience and opportunity. So you could say, oh, I could see how that would be upsetting because we've never considered that as food. Understood. Well, it tastes a little bit like this, or would you be interested in trying? Or if you're not, it's okay. Do you want to smell it? Do you want to look at it? Let's give people the space to be comfortable to not know something and to possibly challenge themselves for. Not everybody wants to challenge themselves in the same way. Not everybody wants to travel the way we do. That's okay. Not everybody wants to travel and taste new food. That is also okay. That's why we're all different. All we can do is share, I had this experience and opportunity and it was surprisingly pleasant, or it was interesting, or wasn't really interested in doing that. That's all we can do. There's no need for us to make a judgment. If someone had a breakdown over something, I don't even know what that happened to them as a child. There are people who don't like beans and will cry if they see it.
Yep.
What we're not going to do is make judgments.
People have always been taught that whoever they are, no matter where they are, you're the standard. And when they find out there is no standard, they fall apart. But hold on, let me do this.
Time to grow. Yes.
On your Instagram, I'm looking at this picture. I see 3 passports laid out. You have 3 different passports so far?
I do. Actually, I think I have 4. One is my Sierra Leone passport, which is expired, and I would absolutely love to get that renewed and upgraded to an ECOWAS passport, which is Economic Community of West African States. Having that ECOWAS passport would allow me to travel visa-free to about 13 to 15 West African countries.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that one.
Of course.
Let's talk about the ECOWAS passport.
Which is not ECOWAS yet. That is my dream. That is what I want.
Okay. So you have your passport for Sierra Leone, correct?
Correct.
And last thing on food.
Mm-hmm. Yakiniku, woo-woo, you know what's up.
Yeah. He knows what's up.
I appreciate that.
BK talking about I say singing food, glorious food.
I say that's funny. That's funny.
You make a lot of great points. They're saying everybody here loves you. You got to come back.
Thank you so much. I'm enjoying this interaction and this transfers to share because this is what we need. We need opportunities to share and to let everybody know wherever you are in your journey of traveling or not traveling, it is okay. We all growing, we're all evolving.
So let's do this. The ECOWAS passport, Economic Community of West African States. You started with your Sierra Leone passport. What was the process like to get your Sierra Leone passport?
It was unique and special for me in the sense that my father was born and raised there. He actually, just to kind of go off course a little bit to another story. So my father was born and raised in Sierra Leone, West Africa. His father in Mali. So that's where my last name, Kanate, comes from. That's West African. Francesca was just my mom wanting something dope. She loved it. It's actually Italian. And she was listening to an aria, an opera when she was pregnant with me. My mom's name is Karen. And she was not impressed that in school, every time you said Karen, all the hands went up. So with Francesca Kanate, I assure you, one of a kind. So that's what that's about. To my passport, my Sierra Leone passport, my father died when I was 12 years old. I lost all contact with my family there. So he was the youngest of three. I have cousins, I have relatives still there. I had the opportunity in 2006 to go back. So it literally was my homecoming. And I met my family for the first time. I met his elder brother and sister who have since passed. So I'm super grateful that I went there. They were super grateful that I tried so hard and found a way to get there and found a way to find them. That one of my uncles, and that's where it comes from in Africa. We call everybody uncle. So technically, I think he was my father's cousin, but he's my uncle. So at that time, they were just so like, we are so proud of you. You made it. You came. You found us. You connected us on both sides. So he's the one who got the passport for me. So your girl had the family hookup on that one. So I can't tell you what that was.
He might have cut some paperwork out for you, but you were entitled to it.
I believe so. I mean, I got it. Let me just tell you, when you're really happy and grateful, you're not asking a whole bunch of questions. You just say, thank you. I have it. Something I noticed, something interesting about this for people to know. Two things. One, as you can tell, I like to smile a lot. And on my passport pictures, I'm always smiling. You cannot smile in your passport picture for, I guess, African countries. Actually, I think maybe even Japan. So we had to take the picture a second time because, cheesy was cheesing. And they're like, no, that doesn't work. And the other thing I thought was interesting was, say again?
That's an excellent segue because one of the things that I do, and I'm not sure how much you've seen of this, I do expat relocation for people. So what is happening is in the beginning, it was all about, okay, well, we want to come to, well, listen, first, I'm dealing with a lot of business from the United States of people who are just like, I just want to get out. Anybody here can add me on LinkedIn, by the way. But one of the things that I'm going to have to add on here, probably as a separate service for my business, because my staff are all bilingual Brazilians.
Nice.
And I'm doing things, I thought this is what was going to be the big one, visas, residency, blah, blah, blah. I can't tell you how many people are coming in saying, by the way, my wife wants some new tits. I want some new teeth. Can you hit me up? It's a real thing. And I've got people like, want to know who my dentist is. Cause I didn't get the all replacements. I got mine whitened, aligned, and we had to go to war because dentists think my gap is like in a front. And they're like, we can fix it. I'm like, it's fine. And one guy was like,
it's not broken.
He said, it's okay. It's all the same price. We're not going to charge you extra. Because I guess I thought it was going to cost more. I'm like, no, leave it. And they just could not understand.
In all honesty, and they should know better, that is actually very devastating to your mouth to close a gap. That's not a fun thing to do. So if it's not hurting you and that's representative of your kingdom, of you being a king, why would you take it out? But not only that, what they would have to do to close that and fill it up, I feel like that causes more problems than it would even solve if they cosmetically thought it was better to look like everybody else. I'm not even sure the logic, but I'm surprised the dentist was pushing you. They should have said, We're proud of you for embracing it, keeping it, loving it, because you know what? It causes different problems to try to force close that or put something there. Mm-mm. But you know, y'all in Brazil, that's how y'all do. I can't talk.
Hey, people get weird about it, and they have another thing where you can get all porcelains if you want, where they just replace them with all porcelain whites.
Okay.
People call it the Hollywood thing because one of the things a dentist told me, she said, be careful if you get that, because on television and in the movies they look great, but in person it's a little creepy because your teeth are like a military cemetery. They're all perfect white block squares because some people want that, but then they get it and they don't look normal anymore. They smile and it's like, it's a little uncanny valley, you know?
Mm-hmm. That was their choice. And you didn't research that to find, you put it, I don't care how cheap it is. So if you're doing it because it's cheap, fine. What is the consequence? What does it look like? And more importantly, what is your dental health? So while we all fronting about trying to put all this stuff on top, what is your actual health of your mouth? So, hey, it's whatever their priority is. I'm not here to judge or whatever, because whatever makes them happy.
Hey, he's talking about what I have an article on Brazilian maid service. Now, you've lived in Africa, right?
I have not.
You haven't lived in Africa yet. I thought that you had lived there.
I was hoping to before all this stuff went down. And actually I had an opportunity and I really wanted to, which was going to be able to be based in Sierra Leone, but doing business between Sierra Leone and Ghana. And still got my eye on that and would still very much be happy and open to that. So let's see what's going on. You know, 2020 got us shutting down, pivoting, looking to what our passion is and putting those things in place so that when things open up and life becomes the new normal that we're dealing with, we're ready to move. So I would definitely be happy and willing to do that.
Here's my thing. As soon as the gates open, get out. We know the world is going to change, right? We don't know what the new rules are going to be, how they're going to be doing things. As soon as you can, you go. Because I've been telling a lot of my clients the same thing. As soon as you can, go. Because
well, you know what I would recommend in addition to that, because that's not very practical for everybody. I don't have kids. So yeah, I can get up and go. I don't have to worry about these things. Yeah. Most people have that. So we have to be considerate of everyone, not just the lifestyle that we have.
I've been working with families as well. It's all about don't wait. People want to wait.
No. This all I'm saying is help people to understand. So while you're here, because you know you can't pick up and go like that. It doesn't mean you can't do it. I know people whose families, actually, I know of a couple, they just retired in Portugal with their child. And they've been living overseas all this time. So of course it's done. What I'm saying is because we have a habit in our culture to just do things, take your time, stack your money. What type of passive income are you creating? What kinds of things can you do online so that when you go to your new country, that's nice. Your money is going to last a long time. It's not going to last indefinitely. So before we get the whole hoo-ha, get out, let's go ahead and be strategic. That's all I'm saying.
We may be saying the same thing because my thing is what my company does is I tell people it's not a fast process. Anybody who says, hey, man, I can do it in a month is lying to you. You have to go through paperwork. You've got to go through this, that.
That's what I'm saying. Lead with that. You're telling everybody get out as fast as you can. No, tell people plan within the when you decide you want to go, give yourself 6 months to a year to have everything in order, have your money, have your real estate, have your plans lined up. That's what I'm saying. We need to talk like that. Not that as soon as you can. As soon as you feel like you're ready to make this move, give yourself 6 months to 6 to 12 months.
They start the process while we're on lockdown. That way, you can still line it up later.
I can live with that, but say that. Because what happens is when you just say get out as soon, people are going to be like, oh, he means literally. No, he means start making the plan now. Give yourself 6 to 12 months. This is what the game plan can look like. Get a consultation with me. I'll tell you what it will cost and why I want you to wait.
That's fair.
When you say it like that, that's completely different. Now this sounds practical. This sounds doable. This sounds like I have time to prepare my family that's going with me. I have time to prepare my family that will be left behind. Everybody's already stressed. Everything is so uncertain. It's not super exciting to be like, I'm going to go to a foreign country that I don't know the culture. I don't speak the language. I don't even know what the currency is. That's not exciting. That's not stimulating. If you don't already have that mindset and you haven't traveled.
And let's touch on this, or as BK says, let's reflect on this. You said preparing the people that you're going to be left behind. I can tell you my experience as a Black American. I can tell you the experiences of all the expat groups I'm in. I can tell you the experience of the expat groups that I run and facilitate. There's no way to prepare the people you're going to be left behind. When you become one of those Black people that's going to lead a better life and just travel the world, very few of us get the option of having people behind us say, "Good going, enjoy it, I'll visit you." The majority of people that I
let me
know,
rephrase that.
yeah.
I mean, make sure your family members are good. Do you have life insurance? Where's the paperwork? What I'm saying is, I don't know what it is about us, because we all want to live our best lives by ourselves and then run the hell out. And then when mama or somebody gets sick, then we're like, I don't got money to go back. When I'm saying make sure everybody's good, I'm not looking for permission or validation to leave the country I'm going. But what I'm saying is you have access to everything that's important. When I leave and I got a house in my name, you have power of attorney. If someone's going to be living in the house. That's what I mean about get everything together. I don't mean like I need you to be like, oh, that's great, go have a good time. I mean, let's take care of business. What is it that we're in 2020? We still got people dying, and instead of us keeping the house and paying taxes, we want to sell it. We split the money, and then pretty soon nobody has money, and we're all looking at each other again. So
here's the thing that I keep finding though. Over and over again, I keep finding with my clients, my friends, the people in the groups that I administer. Oh, by the way, seeing the cherry blossoms in Japan, one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Yeah, the cherry blossom.
Second best, Washington, D.C. tidal basin, because I went to school at Howard University in D.C. Those are gorgeous. They were a gift from Japan. And actually, Washington, D.C. and Tokyo are on the same, what is that, latitude going across? So they actually bloom at about the same time. So if you're stateside, East Coast, go check them out. But yes, of course, Japan is gorgeous because it's iconic. But I'm just saying, if you want something a little closer and easier, go hit the tidal basin in DC.
Yeah, but when you see in Japan, it just gives you that warm little thing.
For the people who can afford and can do it, it does. My thing is making it inclusive. I want people to get excited and be like, this was so amazing. I wonder what it's like in Japan. My whole attitude is I want you to do what you can where you are at your level and get excited like you did, like I did, like anybody else who's an avid traveler. We didn't come off the bat like that. We took baby steps. And so if that's someone's baby step and they could tell someone else, hey, you want to come see this is pretty cool. Go to that Japan festival, go to the India festival, do it where it's comfortable and familiar, get excited, and then be like, you know what, however long it takes, whatever's in your spirit, maybe in a year or two, you're going to go do the real thing. I'm an absolute fan of that. I'm not a fan or proponent of, oh, you got to go see the real thing in Japan. Yeah, that's awesome. That's the most expensive time of year. I wouldn't be recommended if your pockets are short. But there's so much you can do to enjoy a culture in an authentic way. Anyone who's in California should know that Japantown is beast. Yeah, like that literally had me feeling like I was doing something. So explore what is close to you and stop making, I'll do it next time or wait till I save my money. Who knows what's going to happen? Do what you can with what you got right now. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Do what you can when you can. That's a good adage to go by.
100. Nothing's promised. How many people that is not coming out of 2020? Do what you can with what you got because it's not promised. Let's stop assuming that it is.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't coming. So Sierra Leone is one. Talk to us about the other passports. What's the next one?
Oh no, they're all the rest are. So I have 3 American because I was burning them up, and then like running through them, and then the last one is the Sierra Leone one. I actually never got the chance to use. When I got the Sierra Leone one, at the time I was living in Japan, and I did go back. I actually went to Ghana, but I didn't feel comfortable using my Sierra Leone passport at that time because, as usual, I travel by myself. I travel solo, and I was like, I need to be on my American passport because if anything goes left, I could call my embassy and we could take care of this real quick. If I'm on my Sierra Leone passport and I have an issue, of course, I'm still an American citizen, but it's going to take a minute. So when I travel by myself, I'm much more mindful of my safety and what I need to do. I'm the girl who registers with the embassy. I'm the girl who lets them know where I am. When I was in Japan in 3/11, that's when we had the earthquake, the tidal wave, and the radiation meltdown. I had the embassies, the American embassy in Tokyo and Washington, D.C. calling me, are you okay? I was like, I love y'all. I'm good. I had D.C. call me, Tokyo call me. I'm like, man, our country definitely has issues, but when you're in a foreign country, that is your best friend. They need to know your name, where you are, and have your most.
Tell everybody, right? You get faster turnaround for passport renewals outside the United States because they prioritize people living abroad.
I mean, I guess in all honesty, that's the only place I've ever renewed it. I mean, I guess what you say kind of makes sense. I don't know.
Oh, quick question. You got this really interesting effect that I see you use. How do you do that on your pictures?
Which effect is that? Oh my gosh. And that's my nephew. That's my boo-boo. So for anybody who's interested, it's called Photo Lab. Actually, I'll send you, wait, let me just check real quick. I think it's called Photo Lab. It is a free app. I have an Android. I'm sure iPhone has something too. And your girl got a lot of free time. And I like doing stuff like that. So, yep, it's called Photo Lab.
Oh, it's just a phone app that you just run your filters
That's all
through.
it is. That's all it is. Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Thank you. Makes things spicy and fun. And when I'm sitting around and bored, I'm like, oh, look, I can transport myself someplace.
Oh, okay. Here, I'll share this for anybody who wants to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. Is that it?
That and anybody who ends up following me, and thank you for that, on Instagram or anything else, anytime you see anything with any kind of effect, that was me in Photo Lab.
So here's a question for you.
Yes.
After 13 years in Japan,
Mm.
what made you leave?
It was not my choice to leave. So while I was in Japan, absolutely living my best life. I climbed Mount Fuji twice. I skydived in Tokyo. I was absolutely living my best life. While I was there, I started having a heaviness in my right leg. Didn't really pay much attention to it because I'm like, I'm too active, I'm too healthy. I'm going to Dubai on my holidays and four-wheel driving in the desert. I'm going to Ghana, I'm going to Sierra Leone. So I really didn't think anything about it. Very healthy, very active. Over the years, so I was in Japan for about, after that first incident of feeling this heaviness in my leg, stayed in Japan for about 8 more years till it got to the point like, I can't fake this anymore. I did have insurance in Japan, but I felt this is something more serious. I need to go home. I need this to not be lost in translation, and I may need the support of my family. So that's why I came back to the States, and that was about 5 years ago. I expected whatever the issue was to be resolved quickly, like, let's go ahead, let's get this diagnosed. And if I need to have a surgery, hopefully not, but we'll do it and keep it moving. What turned out to be, what I didn't know what it was at the time, was an autoimmune disease, and it was actually multiple sclerosis. So after all this time of doing all these active things, the thing that I valued the most was my ability to be mobile and to get around and do things. And I'm like, yes, skydive, girl, loved it, recommend it. And that was such a game changer for me. Everything about my life has been very physical, my ability to go places and do things and explore. And so that's what brought me back to the States. And that's what's kind of redirected my direction in terms of the things that I'm doing now and the projects that I'm working on now.
Now, would you consider?
Actually, my former boss, which I thought was super awesome, invited me back. When was that? 120. So 3 years ago. So I was really surprised. He knew why I left. At the time, by the time I left, I was teaching at Fortune 500 companies. So I've been to the headquarters of Sony in Shinagawa. I've been to Hitachi, to obviously Japanese companies like KDDI, that's a telecommunications company. The last place I worked the longest was Toshiba. And it was a very specialized contract. Like, the classes are 3 hours long. You've only got 4 students. When I'm teaching at the client's location. So I don't have fellow teachers around me. My boss is not around me. I literally had to take a bullet train to go to the client's location, stay in a business hotel, and take a taxi to go to that location. So about 3 years ago, my former boss reached out to me, and he knew why I had to come back home. And at that time, I didn't have my diagnosis of MS. I just knew my balance was off. I couldn't walk a lot and kind of tired, but everything else was good. He said, would you consider coming back for, forget what it was. I want to say maybe it was like 2.5 months. He had started a contract and the teacher just did not work out. And he's never done this. He had to fire the teacher mid-contract. He asked me to come back. I had to think about it because I was like, I'm using a cane now. Things are harder. Japan could be stressful if you're not fully mobile, but where I was working was kind of in a suburb area. So he's like, I will pay for your airplane ticket. I will pay for your hotel. I will pay for your food. I will pay for your transportation, and I will pay you. I was like, well, sounds like I need to go. So I did. I went back, taught for about, was it 2.5 months? Absolutely loved it, but it also made me realize that I had outgrown that stage in my life. Don't get me wrong, absolutely love Japan. Like that is everything to me. I have people there that are like my family. I love them like brothers and sisters. I got people who are like parents to me, who call and check on me. How are you? But when I went back and did the things that I did, which I absolutely loved, it wasn't there anymore. It's the equivalent of you graduating from high school and you go back to visit your high school teachers and you're like, oh my God, these are such great memories. I love this teacher. This is my favorite room. I love this. That doesn't mean you want to go back to high school. It means you love the visit.
Well, here's what I would ask you. Mm-hmm. I did a video once called, she asked, how do I start an expat career teaching in Brazil? Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I'll put it up here. The reason she asked me this question, I did an hour-long video on just how to go about it, is when I graduated, you'll say, from being a teacher, I run my own business now. And I have teachers that work for me. I know the business. I know how to outsource. I know how to take classes. I know how to train. And owning businesses is one of the things I just do now. Had you ever considered doing that? Had you ever considered, now that you know the English teaching business, creating your...
Like when I say I graduated from that, I mean I graduated. Right now, me managing my MS, me giving people a positive outlook. Like I literally call MS my superpower now. Because this is about mindset. My whole direction has been changed. My trajectory is different. I will always want to go back to Japan. I will always love Japan. And I'll probably need to be, once things open up, like I'll need to go. If I go, I have to be there like at least a month at a time. It's not no weekly thing. My whole spirit trajectory, the projects I'm working on, a branded journal, a podcast, an online course. There's so many people of color, women and men, who have autoimmune diseases. We don't have the support. We don't know how to process. People are shutting down. They're like, oh, I'm not as physical as I used to be. I have a balance issue or something is different. And we're not living our best lives anymore. I still have memories, experiences to do. So I've done that. I've given to that time and space in my life. And now there's a new calling for me. And this calling is actually healing to me. This process is healing to me. So no, that would not be an option. I absolutely know what to do. I know how to run it. Actually, my former boss was like, hey, I'm thinking about moving to Singapore. Would you be interested in taking over? I'm so flattered and honored, but I've done that now and I'm on to something else. If I ever revisit it or help someone to do it, that's a possibility. But for me personally, no.
You know?
Thank you, Red Pill Neil. I do want to be that cool auntie.
You know, I wonder, are there other things that you could do in Japan besides teaching, since you're, you know the area? Well, let me back up. One of the reasons that I chose not to make my second home place in like China or Japan or Southeast Asia in general is what I find is that they're amazing places to live, but they're not places where you can ever, and I'm going to use a word that's not the most accurate way to describe it, but it's the best that I can. You can't become. Meaning, living in a place like Brazil, respectful of the culture, learn the language, you can quote unquote become Brazilian and be hugged the same way. It doesn't work that way in Asian countries. In Asian countries, under no circumstance will you ever be part of the team, even as a conditional member from another country.
Understood. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and knock that out the box real quick. That could be said here. There are certain circles you could go in a company and you will never get promoted beyond your ability, your skill set. I'm not really a fan of that because the things that I did, I told you, my company's paying me to take a bullet train, stay in a business hotel. There are not a lot of English teachers could say that. I'm telling you, I'm going to events at the headquarters of United Nations University. When I came there, I didn't know anyone. I created these things. I had the opportunity to be a project ambassador for my father's country, as I told you about Sierra Leone. For 4 years, I helped to raise $2 million. So I'm not a big proponent of what I can't do. That's why I literally don't listen to people because I'm too busy doing it. So I absolutely hear what you say. And for the average person, that could be true. I think we already established your girls on a whole different thing. That's not saying I'm better than anyone. It just says I have my own path to follow. And what people have faced, even with me dealing with my MS journey, what people are telling me I can't do, I climbed a mountain with my cane and something on my leg to support me.
I saw old people blowing me out of the water.
You understand? So I'm not interested in what I can't do. Just like here in Atlanta, the Georgia Aquarium has the largest indoor tank on planet Earth. I swam in that with 4 whale sharks, and a whole bunch of other fishies. That's like 3 floors deep. So I'm not a fan of what I can't do in any country, language, or whatever. Sorry?
Do you scuba dive?
That's the next thing I want to do. I was actually in the process of getting certified before we had a whole little lockdown and everything. That is definitely on my to-do list.
Okay, because I'm a scuba diver, and I can tell you, scuba is probably one.
That's how we got connected. That we have a mutual friend that also scuba dives, and the one who's in Hawaii. That's how we.
Okay, so that's how we got connected. Because out here in Brazil, I've got a friend who's a master scuba diver who's coming to Brazil. And what we're trying to work out is we're trying to get a dive in together, and he's also considering, and by considering, I'm saying, listen, man, you got all this stuff going for you. Let's get a scuba diving community going out here. He's like, yeah, that's a lot of work. And I was like, listen, you've got the actual master diver license. I've got the connection. You worry about taking us underwater and keeping us alive. Let me worry about getting people that want to come and hang out with us.
Something you might want to consider. Are you familiar with the group Black Travel Movement?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah,
check them out, because I recently saw that there's another group that I'm also in, National Association of Black Scuba Divers, NABS. Right. They're based here in Atlanta. So Black Travel Movement and these Black divers are doing something together. So that might be a good way. Piggyback on an organization that's already traveling, that's bringing people, so you can bring that credibility. And people are like, oh yeah, Yusef, he's been there forever. He's a go-to dude. And this is also what he's offering. Because there are people out here partnering all day, every day. Let them know what you do.
Yeah. Oh, here's the thing. Speaking of groups, let's talk about your Facebook group. Let's talk about Africa and Japan, I believe it is. Oh, hold on. We got a couple quick comments to read. I'd love to hear something about Francesca's skincare regimen if it had to do with different.
Oh, you're so lovely from being in the U.S. Okay, her skin. Oh, thank you, my love. Oh, thank you, boo. First of all, you know I'm all hyped and you made me feel good. I'll tell you, when did it really change? I feel like the biggest change in my skincare came while I was in Japan. And I noticed the biggest thing about it wasn't as much what I put on my skin as much as what I put into my body. So I said, when I went there, that's when I was eating, and I still eat the same way, healthy, but I was eating even better. Something like miso soup, which is a probiotic that makes sure you have like that healthy gut. Anything that you're doing to make sure your body's good on the inside is going to come out on the outside. So definitely lived a much healthier lifestyle, much more fish. Of course, I was walking more, I was more active. A lot of the food that they eat in Japan is actually for nutrition, for your benefit. In America, we eat for flavor. We don't eat for nutrition. So for me, the way I make sure that I'm kind of getting everything, super love fruits, make sure I'm getting my greens in. I do juicing, I juice celery, and that's also for the health benefits of it. So for me, the major thing about skincare is more so what I put in my body than what I put on it, because your girl's a little bit lazy in that respect. I'll go to the dollar store and like get some, ooh, that sounds bad, huh? Yeah, but I'll just get something kind of basic. Or if I want to do like an exfoliant, I'll use something simple like baking soda and water. Everything I do, I try to keep it simple. When it comes to moisturizing, maybe something like coconut oil, because it has a lot of the same properties that expensive brands have. Ghee is also very good. That's clarified butter, girl. You will get all the moisture off of that. So I try to keep it simple, more so what I put into my body than what I put on it, and water. And thank you for saying so. That's a lovely compliment. Thank you.
We got a Domina Antoinette, dear friend, said naysayers will always affirm what they feel you can't do. It's up to you to do what you try to do. Amen.
Let them know.
Preach it. Let them know. Where was
and also, you know what? Something I just wanted to say on that. As we're all hyped and we're like, let them know. Also be gentle. And that's something I really try to do in things. Be gentle and be compassionate. People saying you can't do it is a reflection of them. It is the sadness that you're pursuing your dreams and they're scared to do it. It's more of a reflection on what they can't do than you. So I'm always compassionate about it. But generally speaking, I don't tell people what I'm doing until it's done, because that avoids all the drama. Are you sure? Are you safe? Even my mom, when I climbed Stone Mountain, I told her I was going. She's like, well, don't try to climb it. In my mind, I was like, I'm going to climb it. But I didn't want her to stress out. I didn't want her to be like, why it's dangerous. You shouldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. By the time I told her I'm done, here are the pictures. So I would say 90% of my movements are done in silence. And you'll get the picture and you'll get the report after to celebrate with me if you choose. But we'll be too late to say I'm concerned or I'm scared. Oh, my absolute pleasure, reigning woman. Oh, man, I like that.
So tell us about this.
Actually, what happened with Africa and Japan, like all things, when you're feeling passionate, it's very organic. So I started that over, oh, wow, gosh, maybe 12 years now while I was living in Japan. And what happened was I have a way that I really appreciate about myself of attracting the things that are important to me, the resources, the people, the opportunities. So I was always learning about a new African restaurant or African festival in downtown Tokyo, Yokohama. And then what would happen is I would post the pictures after the event, and my friends would be like, oh, I didn't know I wanted to go, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm so used to moving on my own, like I let people know, but I'm not waiting for a crew to go with me. So I said, all right, so since people seem to be interested, let me start a group. So Africa and Japan started very small, like 7 of my friends. And that was just me saying, when I found events, hey, check this out. If you're interested, this is going on. And then I started finding out different areas of Japan. Hey, if you're living in Kansai, which is like Nagoya or Osaka, Kyoto, hey, check these events out. So it just started growing. And I think by default, because I'm so involved in both the African and Japanese communities, started getting more information, more people started joining. Then it started, I don't know really how it got outside of Japan, but I definitely have members from around the world who are interested in African culture. Don't really highlight Japan too much. I do have one member who shares really wonderful resources and aspects of Japan, but predominantly it's about Africa. It's loving on our culture, it's loving on our people in the diaspora and in the motherland. And everything is related to Africa for Africans. So I'm highlighting African achievers and achievements.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing that.
That's huge. You know, that's
huge.
Huge.
Thank you so much.
That you've grown that as well.
I know, right? Well, it's grown itself. I realized starting in 2021, I'm like, I'm gonna have to figure out what I want to start doing now that I have a platform of 7,500. And it was very organic and it was slow and it was over all this time, but there's an audience there. And I was really impressed and surprised, you know, when we had everything going on with the stress here, I put a really beautiful picture up. It was a woman kind of with the whole Black Lives Matter thing, and that was very popular. That got the most likes and interactions. So I was happy to see I've really kept it more about Africa and the diaspora, but every now and then, something that I feel like is relevant to the African American culture, I include in there since there's so many people watching now.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So to be clear, on Facebook, are you only admitting people who have lived in Japan?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Are you only admitting people who have lived in Japan?
Oh, no, anybody. The only reason why I even make it where I have to look, because there's a lot of spammers who come in, and it's very easy for me to see a spammer. If I see you with, no offense, cryptocurrency or Bitcoin on your thing, you're probably coming in trying to spam. If your profile was made in 2020, like 3 days ago, you're probably here to spam. So the only reason why I do that is because it helps me keep down having to have all these alerts after the fact and kick them out.
Yeah.
It just literally takes me a minute. You're a real person. You're doing some real stuff. And people still get blocked. I don't do warnings. We're all adults. So if there's anything inappropriate or if you're even unsure of it, I'll help you. I'll block you and remove you from the group. So I don't have standards. Please be nice. And if I had to tell you, it's a problem. But as soon as you do it, you're out.
Now, here's the thing. I'll tell you the one rule I have in my group. I don't have to go through that be nice, because if you don't have it,
right.
You know the one rule that I have a lot of people PM me about when they look at it?
What's that?
Don't talk about white people. You'd be amazed how many people have a very hard time going into a group about black in Brazil and all the awesome things, and all they want to do is talk about white people.
Random. Are you serious?
It's like they can't help but define how we discuss being black through the lens of white people. And I'm thinking, first of all, you're black. 2, you're in a country that's mostly black. You can't find any articles to post or anything to talk about that doesn't revolve around white people. And it's awkward. It's like, really? all the things in this magic
That's
country.
really surprising. Okay, that's
And
wow.
a lot of people genuinely struggle because they always want to put up something that a white person said about us or a white person did. What you can go to any place else in the world and talk about white people. Here, let's just talk about black people.
That's my thing. I don't have anything about war, child soldiers. There will be everything in here is to uplift Africa. There, if you want to go to CNN, Al Jazeera, please do feel free. Go find the other news about what the president did to his people. Not interested. I feel like this is my own little oasis. This is my own place to highlight and share and bring love to this space. So that's so interesting that people would have this opportunity to share and build. And they're like, oh, and then Whitey said, oh. Yeah, I'm surprised.
We got a question for you because I get asked this all the time.
What mitigates your homesickness after 13 consecutive? That is such a good question. Oh. Okay, so for me, I can only speak for me because I guess everybody does it in waves. Initially, I didn't have homesickness because I was too excited. So that first year and a half, maybe 2 years, I'm like, I'm living my best life. So, I mean, I wasn't homesick because I'm like, I just came from that and that's why I wanted to leave. I would say maybe my homesickness probably came, that's such a good question. Who said that? Kim W. You never thought about that. Actually, I probably would say the strongest of my homesickness was between the 3rd and 5th year, meaning that Japan was not as new to me. Of course, I still loved it. I never took it for granted. I always enjoyed it. But the newness, the novelty kind of wore off. So it was kind of like my second home, which then made me miss my first home. So yeah, that was a little bit difficult. And when I first went, the first time I went was like in 2001. So we didn't even have social media like that. So that was back. Was I even Skyping? I don't even know if Skype was a thing then. Girl, that might have been calling card days. Legit. Like that might have been legit payphone calling card days. As technology got more advanced, as we started getting Skype and then Facebook, and you can message them just like we're doing right now. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. He's in Brazil, but you feel no difference. So that was definitely a big mitigating factor of processing homesickness. Because if I'm looking at my family and we're talking and we're kikiing, I'm like, what's the difference of you being around the corner or halfway around the world? That was a big thing. But that was such a good question. Yeah, because I was always so much like Japan this, Japan that, and so happy. So I did have a window where I was kind of in my feelings, and that was when Japan got more familiar to me. Never knew it. I still don't know it perfectly. I still learn new things all the time. But yeah, good question. And that's how I dealt with it.
We have something, you know what? I always forget to do this. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, I have, I've got good friends and I've got BK to talk about this. And this is something I don't know whether or not you do anything like this. I have a Patreon page, and on my Patreon page, I go over things that are not nearly as much fun as anything we're doing here on YouTube. But the Patreon page is where people come to me to talk about and where I discuss things like how I make money to travel, business ideas, passport issues, visa issues, all those things. I have 3 different levels. I'm not going to read through all of them. I'll put a link in the thing, but this is where also a lot of people find me who need that one-on-one help with different things that they need. I'll put the link in there. That's something I was also part of, the Black Global Expat Forum, Bitcoin for Forex. There's one thing in here that was probably one of the most popular. I'll have to find it later, was how to get background and criminal checks before moving abroad. And you would be amazed how many people don't even know that's necessary. Most people don't.
They should not know. No. What we're not going to do is amazed. What we're going to say is,
no, I'll tell you why it's amazing. I know people that will do every bit of research about the country they're going and the passport and visa they need, and get stopped on the questionnaire when they get asked, "Oh, do you have any, your proof of your non-criminal background?" And they have no idea that another country would even care. Yet, no, I'll stop there. I want you to go.
No, I'm just saying, let's stop with the amaze. Nobody knows everything. That's fantastic. They did a lot of research. Sorry, that fell under the radar. That's what you're here for. Let's take the amazement, the shock, the whoop. Because if everybody got it right, then what's the purpose of you? If everybody could Google it and do it and get everything right, your services would not be needed. Your services go to show that as much as you Google, you're still going to need someone on the ground who has personal experience. So all I'm saying is, can we stop the whole, ooh, you did your best, you missed that. I'm sorry, that's why I'm here. That's why you get paid. That's why you have Patreon levels. If they got it right the whole time, they did everything perfect, what would be your service? So no, I mean, I really have no response for any situation. If anyone's trying, the fact that you even made the effort to know what was involved to leave, the fact that you're willing to go into something brand new and you're not holding someone's hand and someone's not guiding you, I'm here for that. I don't care if you forgot everything. If you still push through, you're winning. If you found someone like yourself or another service or a Facebook group that can help you, you are winning. That's all I want us to keep doing. I'm not interested in where somebody dropped the ball. I drop it all the time. Luckily, I pick it up so quickly, most people don't know. So high that where I drop it, people wouldn't have even considered it as an issue. I absolutely know I do that. I'm compassionate with myself. I will be compassionate with everybody else. I'm just happy you're trying to find a way to get out the country.
Yeah, that's the
bottom line. That's all I want to hear when we talk about travel. All I want to hear is good for you. Oh, that's important. You missed that. That's why I'm here. Let me tell you why, and let me tell you how to do it. That's all I want to hear. I don't want to hear amazed, shocked, what, how'd you not? No. That's the type of thing that prevents other people from going outside their comfort zone.
Good point.
It's already
I'm still dealing with you're right. If everybody knew everything, they wouldn't need to hire my company.
You would not have a job. They'd all be doing the damn thing. And there's plenty of information available. There's Facebook groups. There's so much information that people don't know what to filter through, what's important, what's relevant, what they need. So what we're not going to be is shocked that person who's brand new to a country forgot something, opposed to the person who's been doing this forever. So be grateful they forgot, because that's why you're here.
Wow. Good point. Good point. Let's see. Hold on a second.
Of course.
There we go. So, where's your next journey going to be?
I'm feeling some kind of way about West Africa. I've been to Ghana twice. I went to Syria, my father's country, in 2006, and I'm feeling ridiculously overdue for that. My father, his siblings, that whole generation is gone. So all that's left now are my cousins. And thankfully, I'm in touch with them. And I don't know, we stay in contact on Facebook, we video chat and stuff, but I really feel like, literally, not to sound like a commercial, but Africa is calling. That's real talk. So yeah, West Africa in particular.
Okay. How do you upgrade that passport, by the way? Do you know the process?
It's just basically getting it renewed. And I need to do it in person because evidently it's like biometric. I'm not a fan of putting my passport in the mail. I never have been and never will be. And because if anything ever happens to this, I don't even know if there's a record for me to be able to get it again. So because, like, if I lose my American passport, I got plenty of things to go ahead and get that replaced. This one is literally like gold with platinum.
Okay.
So it stays in my hand at all times. So I need to physically, there's no embassy. I don't even think there's a consulate here. I feel like DC is the closest, and I don't have a problem going back there. I lived there for like 6 years. So I need to physically take it in hand to wherever I'm going and get it upgraded.
So you got to get over.
Actually, my other option I was thinking about, I could actually fly in on my American passport and get it done while I'm in the country. Bottom line is, it's going to be in my hand at all times. It's not getting mailed anywhere. I don't need the stress of it not getting to where it needs to be and not getting back to where it needs to be. So yeah.
Yeah. There's always been that whole putting it in the mail. It never feels good, but they never really give us many options. No,
see, the difference is if it's an American, I can replace that easily. This is Sierra Leonean. I can't replace that. If anything happens to that, it literally is irreplaceable. I'd have to start the whole process again. My uncle that did that has since passed, so there's no way that I can't even say for a fact I'd be able to do it again. Or definitely not in the way I did it last time. So when I say that stays by my side at all times, it stays by my.
So how long is that passport good for, by the way? Will you have to renew?
Oh, that's what we were getting ready to talk about. Yeah, and then we kind of got off topic. So two things, don't smile. And the second thing was that evidently African passports, or at least West African, I won't speak for the entire continent, they're good for 5 years. It has a 5-year duration, opposed to our 10 years. And I was surprised, and that's for adults. So I don't know if when I upgrade to ECOWAS, I'm pretty sure it would probably be the same. I don't know. But I thought that was interesting.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that doesn't become problematic. I hope it can just go through smoothly for you.
You said what?
I hope it goes through smoothly for you.
Oh, thanks, my love. 100. All right, let me tell you, your girl doesn't even have problems. When I have problems, they resolve themselves before it becomes a problem. I have plenty of options. I could either float through DC, get it taken care of. I could fly to Ghana or Sierra Leone, because there is a Sierra Leonean on this embassy. Actually, one time, just on a side note, just letting you know, like, travel can be real. I flew from Japan to Ghana, right? I had my Sierra Leone passport with me. No, sorry, I didn't have my passport at the time because I was traveling on my American passport. What I did not know, I got a visa for Ghana in Japan. What I didn't know when I got to Ghana was I had no more pages for a visa stamp. So my whole goal was go to Ghana, stay there for about a week, go to the Sierra Leone embassy because I knew it would be infinitely easier. The closest embassy to me when I was in Japan is China, and I'm definitely not sending it to China. When I had my time in Ghana, I had a great time. Went to the Sierra Leone embassy. They're like, you don't have enough pages. I was like, you've got to be kidding. You've got to be kidding. I went to the American embassy in Accra, and it took them a couple of days to put in some extra pages in my book. So it was too late for me to go to Sierra Leone. But what I ended up doing was the money I planned on using, I sent to Sierra Leone, and I had my cousin come stay with me in Ghana. So that's another thing your girl definitely checks now is how many pages do I have left in my passport?
Yeah. Do they do the jumbo ones? Because I know in the United States you can pay to get the jumbo.
I guess I never really needed it before. I guess that's the thing. I ain't even know. I don't have one because I was usually just renewing it and keeping it up to date. It was just that unfortunate situation that when I got that Ghana visa, yeah, that evidently took up my last page for visas. Didn't realize it.
Well, let's do that. We definitely need you back.
Oh, I'm honored.
I'm going to put you on the list. I have a list of really awesome people that I make sure I always tell when I'm going to go live so that if I'm ever doing anything that they want to be a part of, the door is always open. So what I always tell you is that if you're ever watching and you ever see us talking about anything that you want to be a part of, the door is always open. You can just say, hey, Watts, send me a stream. Shiloh said, yay, West Africa.
That's right. You're Cameroon. So Cameroon, let's go get it. Let's go hit some Ghana. Let's go hit some. Yeah. West Africa family. That's what we do.
Yeah, he's Cameroon. He's a good buddy of mine. Great people. He has his own channel, and we're going to be talking about that again soon. Kim W. has another question for us.
Of course.
Can you read that?
Of course. During your time in Japan, have you gained a better understanding of why girl, I wasn't ready. Black caricatures are so popular there? My love, it is quite simple, in my opinion. And you're right. It is definitely an issue, girl. They had some stuff going down. When was the most recent one? Something happened a few months ago with NHK, which is their equivalent of PBS, so they should know better. They were doing some caricature craziness related to Black Lives Matter. I don't know if you're familiar with this young lady named Naomi Osaka. Her father is Haitian, her mom is Japanese, and she represents Japan when she plays tennis, and she's a beast. Girl, they had some issues with her. Your question is legit. These are my thoughts. As Yusef said earlier, it's a homogeneous society. And I think they just feel comfortable pointing the finger to anyone that looks different outside. That's number one. Number two, I think they still feel that they're in this isolated pocket so that nobody knows or cares. But actually, what they do has worldwide consequences. We do know what you're doing, and we're calling you on it. They're becoming more aware. keep in mind the people who are doing it, just like the stuff that we got going on here, it's the older generation. So they're like, this is my country. It's in my language. It's my TV show. It's my whatever the justification is. And they feel like they're appealing to whoever their target market is. So I don't really feel like this is something we're going to really be dealing with in the future, because the younger generation, much more aware, much more savvy. Even if they thought it, I think they're smart enough to know to not put it out there. I really don't take it so hard. Of course, it's offensive. So is everything else in life. I find my country to be infinitely more offensive than anything they could put on TV in Japan. But, you know, we got to pick and choose our battles. That's my only thing. I can't speak for other countries in Asia, because I don't know what their relationship is. But, you know, it's the nature of a love-hate relationship. We are loved everywhere on planet Earth. You're trying to get our lips. You're trying to make your hair stand up. You're trying to get the tans. Everywhere we go, someone is emulating. And when you emulate, that's going to, you know, slide over into hate or picking or jealousy. That's all I have. That's all I could think of, because I'm like, if you really disregarded someone, you really didn't like them, you really didn't care, are you really spending a lot of time to talk about it? I don't know. Maybe that's too evolved thinking for them. But it literally doesn't faze me, because there's more people than not that have common sense. There's more people than not that knows it, that realize it's inappropriate. It's just maybe the people that are in charge still have access to pushing out that agenda. But let me tell you, the backlash is always quick and severe, and they always get back in line after that. So I think hopefully we will be seeing less and less of that. May we also say the same thing for our own country? Can we stop seeing the craziness and the confusion of people not understanding Black Lives Matter? Isn't that saying with Black lives are more important? It means please stop killing us in the streets. Well, no repercussions.
I think those who oppose things like Black Lives Matter are fundamentally dishonest. It's a dishonest accusation. They understand what it means, but they can't outright say we don't care, so they have to say, well, what about other people? There are no adults.
I literally think they don't understand. I forget there's a word, if anybody can help me with it. It's a logical thing that when your mind literally cannot comprehend, it shuts down. I literally feel people think, well, white is the standard, so therefore we're protected. So isn't that enough to cover? Isn't all lives enough to cover everything? Clearly not. When we're getting killed in the street, we've got Breonna Taylor sleeping in her bed, murdered, with a no-knock warrant by people who didn't identify themselves as cops, who still haven't been arrested. Clearly, I don't know the last time I heard of something like that for white people. I never heard of a no-knock warrant where someone was murdered in their sleep and then had to wait how long before someone even came to say, or keep in mind she was an EMT. And what we're not going to do is say, oh, we didn't know, we feared for our lives. You absolutely knew you came in the middle of the night. You absolutely knew you were shooting somebody in the bed. So those are my bigger issues. Yeah, China, Japan, Korea, I don't know if they do it. They're little pictures of us in blackface and whoop whoop, inappropriate, poor taste, disrespecting someone because of the melanin in their skin. Yeah, that's bad. But you know what's worse? Us not getting justice stateside. So when I say I put it in perspective and I don't sweat the small stuff, we got to pick and choose our battles.
Yeah.
Breonna Taylor before Pickaninny in Japan for me.
We all have to choose the hill we're going to die on. For me, I don't know, and I got into a conversation with a friend of mine about this. I don't necessarily, one of the practices that I don't do is I don't try to educate people who are not Black. If someone comes to me and says, hey, I want this information from you, that's fine. But I'm not in a situation where I'm going to go out and try to tell people who are not Black why I deserve my humanity. Instead, I'll work on getting Black people the #1 key to freedom, their financial success. I'll work on trying to do a few other things, but I can't teach people who don't want to go out and get that information on their own. I'm there for anybody who wants to ask.
Correct.
I'm not trying to, I don't think I should try to waste my time explaining to someone why I'm human. I would rather go to people who are like me and say, listen, this is how you can better your situation.
Correct. That's called empowerment from the ground up. That's where we're supposed to be.
Hey, Mo, you know what? We have to chat soon. I want to have you on as a guest. I always see you on and you come on at all odd times, but that's okay. I'm still thinking we need to chat soon. I'm hoping that we can catch up.
Nice.
You've got a great channel.
Fantastic.
Boom, boom. So having said that, this time has gone by really quickly. Is there anything that you want to give anybody as your sign off? Anything you want to say as we log out?
Wow, we've covered so much. I've absolutely enjoyed today the topics we talked about, personal, political, cultural. I really don't know how to sum it up, except I'm very happy to be in touch with anybody who wants to reach out to me, connect with me on Facebook or Instagram. Not super active on Instagram, more so on Facebook. In my group, you're absolutely welcome to join. And I definitely look forward to being able to be a guest again and talk about some of the newer projects that I'm working on, because I'll have to reintroduce myself in a few weeks and a few months, because I'm doing a lot of new things outside my comfort zone, things that I feel will be beneficial and impactful beyond me. So all I can say is look forward to the opportunity to speak with you all again in this form. And everyone's welcome to reach out to me personally as well.
The Africa and Japan group link is in the chat on the side for anybody who didn't see it yet. Love you all. Thank you all for taking time out of your afternoon.
Definitely.
Outside of that, I want everybody to be safe, have fun, and I'm going to click end broadcast. And I wish everyone